What's up everyone, it's Yajin here, and today we're going to be talking about different types of exercises that you can be taking part in and help you figure out exactly which types of exercise you should do to maximize your weight loss at your specific situation right now, right? Because there's different types of exercise and activities. We're not going to dive into the activity so much, and when I say activity, what I mean is, let's say things like CrossFit or like yoga or Zumba, specific activities that otherwise are going to fall under one of these categories, and oftentimes they're going to fall under multiple categories because a lot of these activities, they do combine a lot of these different types of exercise in together to help you maximize those benefits of everything. So again, we're going to identify those categories, and then I'm going to share with you, based off of your current situation, which categories might make the most sense for you to start out in. And at the end of the day, I always recommend people, it's important for you to fit in these categories of exercise, but then I want you to take this and then go in later on and kind of fill these in one by yourself and figure out which activities that you would prefer to be taking part in these specific exercise categories. And the reason why is, I always tell people, if you're shooting for like long-term adherence, you really want to stick to these exercise routines for a long period of time, or ideally forever, then you've really got to find activities that you enjoy, whether this is a specific sport that you really like to play, or it's just doing these activities with a community of people, friends, families, whoever it is that you really enjoy being around as well. So any one of those little factors that help you better stick to these programs over a long period of time. So let's jump into it. But before that, we're going to talk a little bit about habits, right? And if you're watching this video right now and you're not taking part in any sort of routine exercise or physical activity, then I would actually ask you, instead of focusing on the rest of this video, just start out with 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day of going outside, going for a light jog, or just walking. Something super simple, but on a routine basis, so that you can develop those habits of showing up on a regular basis again and again and again. Because the biggest thing that people usually struggle with, regardless of what type of exercise program they're trying to start, or like a diet program, or this is super common with New Year resolutions, you've probably heard that statistic of the majority of people who start a New Year's resolution have fallen off by sometime in February, which isn't that much of a time, right? That's like 1 month into the new year. However, the reason why that happens is because people tend not to focus enough on the habit development side of things and focus too much on the activity or routine that they're getting started in. So before you start any sort of exercise routine or program or diet program, anything at all really, make sure you have the habit development in mind and know exactly how you're going to get yourself to show up on a consistent basis, okay? All right, so let's dive into the actual categories of exercise here. And do us a favor, real quickly, drop down below, hit that like button for us. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. And if you have any friends that might benefit from this information, then do us a favor and share it with them. I think it could really help them out. With that being said, let's get started. The first category that we're going to identify is low intensity steady state cardio, right? As the name says, it's lower in intensity. It's a form of cardiovascular exercise. This is one that you can probably equate to like light jogging, faster paces of running, but really light cardio where you're able to, let's say you might be breathing a bit harder but could still hold a conversation with someone. Let's say you're doing with a partner, a friend, or a spouse at the same time. And I also want to put this into perspective and context, because let's say you haven't exercised in 2 or 3 years, right? You might be walking up a flight of stairs and you're going to be out of breath by the time you hit the top, right? That's the way it is when you don't exercise, right? On the other hand, if someone's been exercising consistently 4 or 5 times a week for like 2 or 3 years, they're probably gonna be walking up this flight of stairs for like 15 or 20 minutes and still be in pretty good shape overall. So when it comes to these things, do also understand what your current position is, and don't try to push yourself too hard. I see a lot of times people try to start these programs that are probably like not fit for them at the moment. It's like, this is probably good for you, but maybe in 6 months from now, and right now we got to start with the foundation focus on the basics and then build up to that, right? So again, with that low intensity, steady state training, this is great for helping you burn calories on the spot. It's typically one of the ones where, in the name, it's lower intensity, so you don't have to think so much about it. You're not pushing yourself all that hard. This is something that I would like to do, go out jog in the morning just to get myself ready for the day, throw on an audiobook and get some reading in while I'm doing that as well, or some music, watch a movie, hang out on the treadmill. Actually, I hate the treadmills, okay? I'll usually jump on the Stairmasters if I'm at the gym, but that's kind of what we're going after, right? The long-term benefits of this are not so much, there's definitely cardiovascular benefits, but as far as your weight loss, this is kind of, you do it, you get the benefits, and that's about it, okay? Moving on to the next one. You've probably heard this one. It got a lot of attention in the past couple of years, high intensity interval training, right? And as the name says, this is of a higher intensity. These types of workouts typically happen in short bursts. Think sprints, think a lot of jump squats. You can even incorporate heavy lifting, right? Weightlifting can also follow this high intensity interval training framework. You're often going to be pushing yourself really hard for a couple of seconds, maybe around a minute or two, and then take a break and cycle through that again and again and again for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but not too long of sessions each time. Now, this is definitely one that I would say be careful of if you are a beginner, because it's not something you want to do every single day. You're going to get really burnt out. Your body's going to get tired from it. So if you are just starting out, but you're okay, I want to do high intensity interval training, space it out. Start out once or twice a week, build up from there. Eventually you can kind of add to your program and your routine as your body adapts to it, all right? And also the benefits of high intensity training don't only last through the current time where you're training in. Your body actually consumes an additional amount of oxygen after the workout to help it recover, therefore burning more calories throughout that time as you go, right? So you're getting some benefit from that workout while you do it, but also later on for the next 24 to 48 hours there. Now, the next one that we're going to cover is strength training. Think of this as an equivalent to weight lifting. It doesn't only have to be related to weights. You can build your strength in a lot of different types of ways. And, especially when you're starting out, you probably don't need all that much weight, right? Like I mentioned earlier, back to making sure you start at a place that's right for you. You probably don't need all that much weight. You can even do a lot of things with a TRX or a resistance band if you've seen those before. Lighter weights, or even assisted body weight movements can really help you develop your strength when you're getting started. The benefit of this, it's going to help you build a lot of muscle mass. You're going to burn calories during the time being while you're doing the exercise. You're going to burn calories afterwards as your body recovers, but you're also going to start increasing the muscle mass that you have on your body a lot more than if you were doing other forms of cardio. And this is going to help you increase your metabolism further on down the line too. So think of this almost like a long-term investment. The more strength training that you're doing, the more likely you're going to be able to increase your metabolism for the long term. That's going to help you burn more calories and stay in a better shape for longer periods of time. And the fourth category that we're going to cover is going to be circuit training. Now, when it comes to circuit training, I almost wouldn't even consider this a separate category. And the reason why is because really depending on how you structure it, you could make it low intensity, you could make it high intensity, or anything in between really. However, I want to talk about circuit training because it's a great form of cardio, and essentially what you would do is you can set, a circuit of a couple of movements in however many reps you want to do it, and maybe you will do this circuit for 5 rounds or 5 minutes or 10 minutes. But then it does a really good way of making the exercise fun, switching it up enough where you're getting the results from a lot of different movements. And really the biggest thing, again, back to what I said earlier, is just finding a fun activity that you can take part in. It's very easy to change these up and try new movements on a regular basis. So I would definitely recommend circuit training for those of you who want to keep exercise interesting for yourself. Now, again, depending on how you structure it, you could structure this like a low intensity workout and go for a longer period of time there, or you can also structure this as a high intensity workout if you want to increase the weight or the load, the speed and intensity that you're doing it at. So really, this one jumps kind of across the board on that. Now that we've gone through a couple different categories of exercise, you're probably thinking, what would be the best for me if you're just getting started? So like I mentioned earlier in this video, if you're currently not doing anything, I think your best bet will literally be making it as easy and as simple as you can and just getting out there and start moving, right? Don't be so worried about what you're doing, just whatever kind of floats your boat, really. If you find it interesting and exciting, then do it and try to do it as much as you can, because that way you establish that habit, and all of a sudden now once you have that consistency, you can build on top of that, add to the intensity, and it's not going to feel as difficult as if you were just to jump straight in and say, oh, I'm going to do strength training 5 days a week, or I'm going to do strength or circuit training every single day, where in that case you're probably going to kind of hit a wall in terms of is this for me? I'm not quite used to it. My body's super sore because I haven't moved in a while. And there's a lot of obstacles that come with getting started with a new exercise routine, okay? So again, if you're just getting started, that would be my recommendation. Now let's say you've probably been doing some cardio or some strength training on your own, you're a couple weeks in, maybe let's say around 12 weeks in. That's around the 3-month mark, right? If you're really concerned about losing weight quick, and you're not so concerned about like the long-term implications, like, oh, I have this trip that I'm going to, and I'm going to be at the beach all day, and I want to lose a lot of weight, then you're probably going to benefit a lot from mixing in a lot of low-intensity, steady-state cardio, quick walks, light jogs for longer periods of time, with some high-intensity interval training. Now, the only thing I'm gonna kind of warn people about high-intensity interval training is, I know I warned you about kind of not doing that too often earlier as well. When the intensity goes up higher, you're also prone to a higher likelihood of injury. So if you're doing like heavy weighted squats and you haven't practiced squats very much in the past, it's probably not the best idea. That's why I usually recommend people when they're just starting out. Again, if you're not so concerned about the short-term implications and you're like, okay, let's build a good foundation for that long-term. Not only do I want to see some results now, but I also want to see results down the line as well, like 6 months from now, 12 months from now, and 5 years down the line as well. I want to keep those results long-lasting, right? Then I would recommend beginners start out with a mix of low-intensity, steady-state cardio. Again, for me, I like to go out and do that every morning. It helps wake me up, get the blood flowing, the heart pumping, and I get a little reading time in during that. And then some strength training as well, because what the strength training is going to do, it actually acts as a form of cardiovascular activity as well, because when you're lifting heavy weights, your body's going to really start to have to improve its ability to process, pump more blood, process more oxygen and carbs and energy to help you get stronger and stronger and stronger there. So not only are you building muscle, but you're also seeing cardiovascular improvements while you are doing strength training. So a mixture between low intensity, steady state cardio as often as you can get it in every single day if you can. There's also a lot of recovery benefits that come with like lower intensity cardio. And then strength training, I would say just start out maybe around 3 times a week and build up from there. If you're just getting started, then 30-minute workouts are probably a good place to start. If you're working out for 60 minutes, your body's probably going to be kind of aching for a while after you finish those strength training workouts. So I would start for like 3 sessions for 30 minutes a week. And then you could do some stretching before or afterwards, or get a little more cardio in as well. But then as you kind of progress, then you can increase the duration where you're actually staying in those workouts and pushing the volume up a little higher, doing more reps, doing it for a longer time, longer distance, but then also increasing the difficulty. And then once you have that strength foundation, you have that cardio foundation, you're like, I'm feeling pretty good about myself, I'm starting to see some results, my arms, my legs feel a little more toned, like I feel that muscle there. Then you can jump into higher intensity interval training. And at that point, I would say that would be where I would be the most comfortable with people diving in. Now, again, it really depends on your situation, and when it does come to higher intensity, sometimes if you're just getting started, you can bump up the intensity super high and not be doing super complicated movements. I think, again, really focus on the foundational movements, the basics. Focus on your pressing motions, both on a horizontal plane and on a vertical plane. Focus on your squats, your deadlifts. Those hip hinges are really important. Your pulling motions, whether again you're pulling horizontally, pulling vertically, developing your core strength, but really basic, really simple movements. I think a lot of times when people start out, they might try a couple movements too many, and it's like, don't make it complicated, stick to the basics, build up your foundation, and then you're gonna be able to make a lot of progress further on down the road with that. So that's kind of some information about which category of exercise that you should be taking a part in and what might benefit you the most when it comes to weight loss. So I hope that video helped you out, gave you a little more perspective on, what different activities and exercises that you should and can be doing. So if that video helped you out, drop down below, give us a quick like, subscribe to our channel, and thank you for watching. Share this with any of your friends or family members who might also benefit from this information as well.